is.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
man.
truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
And this is yours?
Yeah, this is mine.
Okay, so we'll make sure to get this stuff.
Sure.
I'm not too much everywhere I've gone is just adjusted.
Duct tape makes the world go round.
Yes.
Well, that's why I bought mine. That stem kit. I love that thing. $30 on Amazon. It wasn't.
I have one of those for my GoPro.
Yeah.
Swinging around.
Yeah, I've seen them for GoPros. I haven't seen it.
Now it doesn't come with the clip.
Yeah, you
have
screw it
to
on.
get your own clip to screw it on.
So does it just have like? Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go.
It's got the screw on there. You gotta.
You can pick that up at like Guitar Center or any
Yeah.
music store. Just pick that part up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna rain. I better find the raincoat.
Oh, do you need a raincoat now?
Mic check, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody hear me okay?
That makes sense.
Oh yeah. Hey, give them a heads up. No, they cannot. You're not hooked up. I would just text somebody. Yeah, because I told her to be monitoring us. That's her study.
All right. Good afternoon and early evening. Thank you all for gathering here with us. In about 30 seconds, we're going to go ahead and start our press conference with the, turn it down just a little bit, with the Cox family, who has something to say in response and in light of the decision today not to charge the officer. Also, we have local NAACP chapter president Jimmy Adams, who's going to make a statement on behalf of High Point NAACP, the mother and biological father of Fred Cox here, Tanika and Fred Sr., as well as Mr. Shannon as well, and members of his family are here. Instead of Attorney Benjamin Crump, who is leading the team, the legal team for the Cox Shannon family, I have a statement from him and attorney Tony Romanucci. Ben Crump, Tony Romanucci, local firm McPherson and Mills and McPherson have all coalesced to provide legal support to this family. Attorney Benjamin Crump and attorney Tony Romanucci have released the following statement. This is shameful. A shameful lack of accountability is something that we see all too often when young black men are unjustifiably gunned down by officers. Fred Cox was attempting to help his community, already in the midst of grieving the loss of a loved one, when he was wrongly profiled by police and killed because of it. Law enforcement cannot continue to fire their weapons at black people blindly and without consequence. The words of Attorney Benjamin Crump, lead attorney, national civil rights attorney, and attorney Tony Romanucci. Both of those were the lead attorneys for the George Floyd family, and they are proud, along with local attorney McPherson, to be leading the Cox family through this unjustified decision. On the behalf of attorney Ben Crump, the entire law firm and legal team, we are announcing today that the family will file a civil suit in lieu of the unjustifiable and wrongful death of Fred Cox. Fred Cox was killed not just by an officer, but we need to name him today. It's time for the public. The family has long known who this officer is, but it's time for the public to know that Officer Shane Hill, out of the Davidson County Police Department, is responsible for the death of Frederick Cox Jr. Shane Hill. In the DA's statement that was released just a few hours ago, it was mentioned that Officer Hill was working in concert with local law enforcement. So we have questions about their knowledge of his presence. And of course, the ultimate question is, why, Officer Hill, did you shoot at and kill Fred Cox Jr.? Fred was found, as we have been saying all along, not to have been in possession of a gun. Therefore, he could not have brandished a gun for any member of law enforcement to use deadly force or any type of force. We don't know why Fred became a target. Today, the family has more questions than they did yesterday, than they did the day of his death. We know how Fred died, but what we don't know is why Fred died. We know that he died by wounds from a gun that was in possession of Officer Shane Hill. We know where he was shot. We had that press conference already. We know what the fatal shot was, a shot to the side of his neck. What we do not know, what the autopsy cannot tell us, and apparently what the grand jury doesn't want to know, is why Fred Cox died. As I met with the family immediately following their meeting with District Attorney Avery Crump, they're wondering, what now? What are we supposed to do now? Our son, our grandson, a father of two, is dead, and there is no accountability. North Carolina has a very ugly problem through its criminal justice system, where a grand jury could just literally just walk away from it and not seek answers. We want to know now from the State Attorney General, Josh Stein. We want to know now if we can meet with the governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper. We want to know now if the federal Department of Justice will do an investigation into what has happened here in High Point, North Carolina, in memory and for the justice of Fred Cox Jr. This family, just like George Floyd's family, just like Breonna Taylor's family, just like Ahmaud Arbery's family, and just like Andrew Brown's family, deserves truth and accountability. This family deserves transparency. This family has been fighting for justice, for answers to their questions. Why did Fred die? Since the day he died. And here we stand after an SBI investigation, after an HPD investigation, after a district attorney-led investigation, with no answer to that question. Why did Fred Cox die? And why will there be no charges for the officer that unjustifiably killed him? If Fred Cox was not a part of gang violence, the DA said in her statement today, he was not a part of a gang. But his family has been saying all along, Fred Cox was not a part of a gang. We didn't need the DA to say that. The community has been saying Fred Cox was not a member of a gang. His family has been saying all along, no weapon. The DA said it today. No weapon. When we spoke to the medical examiner said it a few months ago. There was no gun residue on his hands. And so what we are here to do today is to let our governor know we need you to step up. To let our state attorney general know we need you to step up. To let Guilford County know you're going to have to pony up. There will be a civil suit filed by the legal team. This family is seeking the balance of justice. And when I say that, there's no amount of justice left that can bring Fred back. Fred cannot come back. As I held his mother, as I've held his grandmother in my arms, when they're asking why and what do we do now, there's nothing that will bring Fred back. But this system of law enforcement that over-polices and criminalizes black men needs to be held accountable. Leaders from the NAACP here in High Point, our state president has stood with this family. Clergymen and women from all across North Carolina is standing with this family. Organizations are standing with this family. And if our criminal justice system thinks that we're done just because the DA has announced no charges, then they're in for a rude awakening. On June the 25th, the family is announcing a public call to action. That will be a Freedom Friday for Fred Cox. June the 25th, Friday, June the 25th, hundreds of people will take to the streets here in High Point, North Carolina. We're going to fight for Fred. We're going to fight for Fred. We're not going to stop fighting for Fred. People from all over the country. Tanika was recently with Trayvon Martin's mom. She was recently with Breonna Taylor's mom. She was recently with mothers of the victims of police violence from all over the country. And they have pledged to stand with her, to stand with Mr. Cox, to stand with Mr. Shannon. We're going to continue to fight for justice in Fred Cox's case. Let me tell you, even the answers that we did get, we had to wait too long to get them. Even the questions that they are now answering, we've had to wait too long to get them. As you all know, I have been standing with the Brown family, and leaders from Elizabeth City are in Raleigh today. We're in Raleigh today, meeting with the governor, meeting with members of our state legislature. This family is going to Raleigh as well. This family is going to Washington as well. What has happened here in High Point, North Carolina will not stop, because there will not be any charges filed on the criminal side of things. And we're going to ask that there be a revisitation of these actions, that there be another look into this course of action, because it was absent of truth and accountability. When the family came out of the room with the district attorney today, they felt completely upended by this decision. It makes no sense that Fred was found not to be a part of a gang, found not to have a weapon, but there be no charges filed for his death. Why did Stephen Hill kill Fred Cox? And there's a matter of decency that if Officer Hill did not intend to kill Fred, he would have said it by now. There's a matter of decency. If the Davidson County Police Department was apologetic for Fred's death, this family would have heard from them by now. This family is in grieving. This family is experiencing extreme trauma. This community is rising up, and we're going to continue our fight for Fred Cox. Local President Jimmy Adams, NAACP.
Good afternoon, everyone. James Adams, President, High Point Branch, NAACP. We are all here for justice. We weren't expecting this. we weren't expecting this. With all the information that we've had in front of us for the last 7 months, it didn't look this way. But as we look throughout our country, and we see more and more decisions such as this, we wonder why. And then there are times we don't have to ask why. Fred should not be dead.
He should not be dead.
Fred should not be dead. All evidence that we have in front of us that was presented by the autopsies, presented by officers that we've spoken to, that's presented by witnesses that we've spoken to. Fred should not be dead. We have to have a stop to this killing of young black men by police officers. We understand that there's a study that will be done by the Justice Department very soon here in North Carolina. It can't happen fast enough. Too much is happening. Too much is happening without any accountability. I have to be accountable. They have to be accountable. They even have to be more accountable because we elected them.
That's right. That's right.
This mother should not be grieving. This father and his natural father should not be grieving today. Too much has gone by silently. I'm asking for us to stop being silent. Get out of your silo. Come and join us.
That's right.
Because your son or daughter could be next. And if not, just because it's proper. We shouldn't have to live like this. We shouldn't have to live like this. People were in North Raleigh this afternoon with the Elizabeth City situation. People will be in Raleigh in one of our future afternoons with the High Point situation. What role did everyone in that situation have with this? From the High Point Police Department all the way out to SBI. Too much information shows that there is no accountability. And as we look at these situations, town by town by town in North Carolina, there has to be a stop. And the only way you can stop is with us. Gather up your friends, your neighbors, and families. Talk about it. It's got to stop. It's going to stop. It's going to stop. Accountability has to be had. Thank you, everyone. Who will be next? Who's next, Greg? Who will be next? You? Okay. Jesus, working.
They're gonna work on it, but I want to, Miss Shannon and you gonna say something, Mrs. Shannon? No, yes, okay. All right. Turn it on. Your mic is loud.
I'm Tanika Shannon. The mother of the late Frederick Rodriguez Smith Cox. Today was a punch in my gut. Today was a slap in my face. The word had been my son was in the gang. Told him over and over, my son was not a gang member. The word was, my son was shooting. He waved the gun in Detective Michael Shane Hill's face. My son didn't have a gun. Why is my baby dead?
Why?
Shots was fired on the opposite side of the street. My baby was killed on the opposite side of the church. Witnesses have said Fred did not have a gun. He did not have time, even if he did. For 10 days, 10 whole days, they had me thinking that my son was killed by shots from a gang. 10 days. On day number 10, they said a detective Hill shot and killed my baby. Tuesday will be 7 months. I have asked over and over, who is Detective Hill? Nobody would never tell me. But they know who Fred Cox was. The district attorney, very nonchalant lady, very nonchalant. And like I told her, that could have been your son. Could have been your daughter. My son don't even know why he is dead. He don't know. Why Fred? He was helping people. He died a hero. My son didn't have a gun. So what are you going by? What people say? I can say anything. It's facts. It's facts that he did not. No gun residue. No gunpowder. Not in the gang. My son was a hero. My son died a hero. My son has always been a great person. Very well-mannered young man. You don't see that often. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. And now I have to explain to my grandchildren why they don't have a daddy. Why is daddy not here? My grandson looks at his daddy picture and cries, I want my daddy. And I have to explain, daddy is not coming back. Daddy not coming back, Zayda. I hold my grandson so close and so dear because they are killing black men like it's normal. It is not normal for a cop to kill us. We have to stop making it normal. My son did not deserve to die.
That's right. That's right.
My son did not deserve to lose his life. I should not have to go to a cemetery to visit my child. He did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. Detective Michael Shane Hill, I feel like you saw a chance to kill a nigga and you took it. I feel like that's exactly how I feel. You saw the opportunity to shoot a black person and you took it. And you took my soul. You took my heart. And I will never forgive you. My anger has turned, my sadness has turned to anger. And now I'm pissed the hell off. And I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight for justice for my baby. He did not deserve to die. I'm ready to go to war for mine. Because if it was his, he would go to war for his children. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you, baby.
We understand that attitude because we're tired of seeing our sons, our fathers, and our brothers be killed. And by this over-policing and unjust criminal justice system and not be held accountable.
Yes.
And not be held accountable. This is a grotesque miscarriage of justice. This makes no sense that it can be found that Mr. Cox did nothing to justify his own death, but there be nothing done to the ones that they know who killed him. Now, if it was a black man that shot Fred, we have no doubt in our mind that that man would be in custody and that man would be convicted. If it was a gang member
Come on now.
Yes.
that shot Fred, especially if they could identify who it was. There's no doubt in my mind that that person would be in custody. What they did to Fred is the same thing they did to Ahmaud Arbery. The same thing they did to Breonna Taylor. They said Ahmaud Arbery was breaking and entering. That's why he died. They said Breonna Taylor was running a drug ring out of her house. That's why she died. Same thing they did to George Floyd. Criminalized him. He caused his own death, responsible for his own death. This keeps happening over and over and over, and we knew it was too close to home before Fred got killed, but when it hit home, High Point and Greensboro and Guilford County and the rest of North Carolina is ready to stand up and fight back.
Yeah.
We're going to fight back. We're going to fight back. So we're calling everybody to the streets. The information will be posted on social media. The local NAACP chapter is joining with Justice for the Next Generation. We're going to plan a Freedom Friday for truth and accountability for Fred Cox on June the 25th. Let me say to this family, as Father's Day approaches,
Yes.
you have our support. There's nothing we can do to bring Fred Cox back. But as I have spoken with Attorney Josh Stein directly many times over, as I have spoken with the Federal Department of Justice many times over, leaders, community organizers, sons and daughters of this soil are going to do everything we can do to rise up and help you get past this Father's Day and help you get past every day. We're going to fight for Fred Cox in High Point, North Carolina, like the nation fought for George Floyd all across America. And Tanika and Shannon and Mr. Cox have heard from members of the George Floyd family. They have heard from members of Dante Wright's family. They are in contact with the Brown family, who are also standing together. And we expect on Friday, June the 25th, there to be a major convergence of people from all across America upon this city to come in here and stand for Fred Cox. In respect of Pastor Booth and the memorial services that are going forth tonight, the family is sending their condolences. What happened to Pastor Booth is unfortunate because there's a violence problem in this city, in general speaking. And so our condolences go out to Pastor Booth, to his fiance, to his children, and to his family. And this month, starting tomorrow night, people in High Point are going to rise up and continue our public outcry. Justice for Fred. Fred should not be dead.
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 Say his name, Fred Cox.
Fred Cox.
Say his name, Fred Cox.
Fred Cox.
Say his name, Fred Cox.
Fred Cox.
Justice for the next generation.
Justice for the next generation.
If there are any questions, obviously the attorneys are not present, so there's not a lot that we can answer from a legal standpoint. But if there are any questions, we'll consider just a few at this time.
Can you tell us how long the meeting went with the district attorney?
It was about an hour.
It lasted for an hour.
And who all was present in that meeting?
So Miss Shannon, Mr. Shannon was present, D.A. Crump, and a member from the district attorney's office.
In High Point.
And High Point Police Department.
The SBI, Scott Williams,
Scott Williams from the SBI.
and Ashley McPherson. I'm sorry, Lindsay McPherson, our local attorney, and myself and my husband.
I know you've mentioned before that it's been kind of a struggle throughout this for you to get any information from the district attorney, SBI, anybody. Was there any more information you were given today that helped shed light onto why the decision came here or today?
Nothing. Nothing. I left. I went not knowing, and I left not knowing. Still don't know why my son is dead.
And was there any indication of why this took almost 7 months to get to today?
Well, the SBI put it off on the DA. The DA put it on the SBI. I just feel like they were trying in cahoots, trying to figure out how to get him off. They didn't even give me a name of the detective in the meeting. I gave him his name. I already knew his name. Detective Michael Shane Hill is who murdered my baby out of Davidson County.
And we understand that Detective Hill is back on the force.
Yes.
We understand that Detective Hill is not even on administrative leave. If he was, we don't know. But we do know that the person who killed Fred Cox is back on the case, back on the force.
Somebody that's not responsible, don't know when to fire a service weapon. He's a murderer. If my son would have murdered him, my son would be in prison. He's not responsible. He should not wear a badge. How you not know which angle? You are trained to know these things. And this man stands behind a badge and says that he is out here to protect all of us. He's not. He's not responsible. And he should not never be able to legally carry a gun.
This cannot be the end to this criminal matter. This is why the Brown family and the legal team that is wrapping around the Brown family has applied pressure in the case coming out of Pasquotank County. Because the district attorney should not be able to close a case and not offer full transparency and truth to a grieving family. If it was their son, there would be more done. It would be worse, and it would have been handled expeditiously. And that's why at this time we must get our state level public officials involved in this case. North Carolina has a very ugly problem. There are two criminal justice systems here in North Carolina. One for whites and one for blacks. One for affluent folks and one for poor folks. And it's time for us to apply pressure, to put our knee on the neck of the criminal justice system that could let Detective Hill in High Point, North Carolina, and the DA and officers down there in Pasquotank County go scot-free. Enough is enough.
What would you like to see happen through a civil lawsuit? What is
I don't want civil. I want this man arrested. I have been me all my life. Millions of dollars will not bring my son back. He needs to be held accountable for killing my son. But we will get civil. We will file. But what does that mean? My baby is still dead, and he is still on the police force.
Confident knowing somebody get punished, some type of punishment gets done. I mean, coming from me, I done broke the law. Now I'm saying I'd have been punished. Somebody need to be punished. Simple.
Fred Cox Sr. asking for accountability, and let me clarify. The Cox family did not start this process because they wanted to be paid off. The Cox family is not standing out here because they can be paid off. The Cox family wants the same type of justice that the Crump family, if it was D.A. Crump's black son, would be seeking if he had been gunned down by the hands of the police. The Cox family is standing out here. The Shannon family is standing out here because if it was Detective Hill's son, they want the same type of investigative process and accountability for a white son. This happens over and over, and because most black folks can't afford an attorney.
Come on.
And the outcry of most black families is swept under the rug when they can't afford nationally renowned attorneys such as Ben Crump, Tony Romanucci, local attorneys such as the McPherson firm. But times have changed. People all over the country are standing behind black families such as the Cox family. Black and white folks have been marching in High Point for the Cox family. Black and white, Hispanics, leaders, city leaders have been calling for truth and accountability in this process. And let me say, Guilford County, before it happens to another son from this soil, you need to join this family. You need to join this family. You need to join the March for Justice on the 25th. You need to join the Marcus Smith family in Greensboro, North Carolina. You need to join the Andrew Brown family throughout this summer. You need to join the movement before it happens again.
I want to ask you too, Mom. I believe a couple press conferences ago you said whenever the name wasn't made public through the DA's office that it felt like in limbo. You didn't know going to a church if you were sitting in a pew with this detective. But now that you do know, what does that do to your mindset? Do you still feel like you're in limbo?
I still feel like I'm in limbo. I mean, although I have a name, I don't have a face. I don't know where this man is. I don't know if I'll run into him. He knows me. He sees my face. So, of course, my anxiety is still high. Of course, I'm still afraid whenever I get pulled over by the police. For a matter of fact, I was pulled a few weeks ago and they were very rude to me and my mom. Very rude. To the point where it was embarrassing how rude. So I don't know who this man is. He know who I am. So yeah, my anxiety is still on 1,000.
Please pray for the family. Several members of the family have been engaged with police since this has happened. Please pray for all of us standing with this family. We're followed home. We're vilified sometimes. Social media attacks sometimes because we're fighting for justice. We need your support. We need you in the streets. The page.
Fred Cox Life Matters. He has a page on Facebook, FCLM Foundation.
Fred Cox Life Matters on Facebook will post information about tomorrow's events, and in a few days, the official advertisement will go forth about June the 25th at 5 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Say his name.
Fred Cox.
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 Justice for the next generation.
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 Thank you.